which is biomechanics and how gravity affects our body. So when we talk about force, the word actually, in a way, comes from architecture and physics, right? It's just interesting to hear. I love it. I love it. Architecture, because they like to play with how things can visually look off center, but still have a stability. And in many ways, that is the definition of an asana.
Sure, it's all about balance.
Well, and so like let's continue the analogy a tiny bit further. So if we want to have a top, here's the stability of the building, here's the earth, and we want to take the top not center but off kilter, so it's maybe kind of asymmetrical. Well, it'll just fall down, right? So then architecture is all about: do we put a cross bridge? Do we make this super rigid? Do we have new materials to hold it so that the force of gravity does not pull it over, right? In the human body, that right there is your psoas, it is your hip flexor. It's the exact same principle in action. And for the architecture to look really cool, you kind of don't see where the support is, because in yoga, hatha yoga practice, most of our stability is inside the torso. So we don't really see it. So I just love that you threw that out as a way to open up class today.
Well, glad to help out.
Okay, so I have a quick little thing. The gods of music said today we're going to be musicless. So I decided to fill it with some thought before we go in. I've been doing yoga so long, I keep asking myself, why are you doing this again? In our land of short attention span, we're not supposed to do anything over and over. We're supposed to only be thrilled and entertained by whatever is new in the next thing. I sarcastically say in medicine, everyone believes that the thing that will heal them is the thing that we've not yet created. This is a lovely book. Let me turn off my background really quick so you can see the name of the book. I don't necessarily recommend you get the book. You're welcome to, but it is a kind of intensity of a book. But I have a few sentences. Why is what's happened? Oh, I've got the wrong button. How do I turn this off? No. Okay, so here we go. Here is the book title. It's called Ayurveda and the Mind: The Healing of Consciousness. Now, Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word, and this is the healing tradition or the medical tradition of India. So it actually goes with yoga. So it's the same thing as yoga. It's kind of like the yoga ideas when it comes to health. And so chapter 4, the nature of mind. Excuse me, but I am actually going to read. So try just to listen. This is being recorded, so you'll hear it again. It is some deep stuff, but yoga's going deep, and I think it will be our theme for today's practice. So give me maybe about 3 minutes here. The nature of mind. It is amazing to note that so many different ideas exist about the nature of mind and how it functions. Different systems of psychology, philosophy, and religion define the mind in ways that can be radically different or even contradictory to one another. All of us agree on the basic fact of the physical body, its form, structure, and function. No one holds that the body has 3 legs, or that the stomach cognates, or that the brain digests your food. Well, the reason is really easy. We can observe it. Yet, while we can easily observe the main systems of the physical body, we find it difficult to find those systems and observe them for the mind. The mind appears to be amorphous or structureless rather than a precise instrument like the body. We are so caught up in the mind's activities that we do not take the time to discover what the mind itself really is. Thought, as we ordinarily know it, is a function of our ego or separate self. The self that is at peace, I'm now adding my own line, the self that is at peace doesn't necessarily think. Thinking is to solve problems. If we're not contemplating a problem, then there's not much thinking. So thinking is part of our self that makes separate and divides. It's not unhealthful, but not the truth of us. I'm going to jump ahead because I'm making a little thesis here. From the wrong understanding of the mind, we develop wrong ideas about the world and run into difficulty in our social interactions. It requires detachment from the mind. To solve this problem, requires detachment from the mind, which means detachment from the mind's activities and its interests. So what that means is, because otherwise it gets too lengthy, kind of interesting stuff, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what that means, it's no different. It's a detailed version of what we're always talking about. You are not your thoughts, and the practices we call yoga are to experience that, and in that way become self-truth to you. So you could even agree with me mentally that we're not our thoughts and go, sure, I agree with that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that when something happens inside or out inside your world, that you're relating to that. We can easily get swept up in our emotions. And certainly, if we could say there's any epidemic or pandemic, it is not the COVID virus. The pandemic is believing one's thoughts and what they're seeing and ingesting the emotions from them and now being very stuck. So, where does it begin? Where do I begin to tell a story? It begins with understanding that what we feel in our body, the nervousness, the tension, the tightness, the anxiety, is a result of what we're putting our attention on inside the brain, implying that we are not that thing, but we are continually putting attention on that which is noisy or which is loud or which has a strong feeling. And without belittling someone's life or trying to belittle what's going on, the truth is still the truth of the nervous system. Your nervous system knows only one thing: threat or no threat. That's it. So if you are watching a movie and you get all excited and your stomach gets nervous, your stomach doesn't know that you're not experiencing that. It just says, okay, nervous, she's nervous, he's nervous. And you might think, oh, that was a fun, light movie. But the stomach went through an hour and a half of emotion and acids and draining and cortisol. We might have read a book, might have had a dream, might have had perpetual mind chatter. Doesn't matter. When the nerves are plucked, threat is elicited. And whether you call it fear, anxiety, worry, doubt, rumination, frustration, all of those are variations on a theme inside the body. So the practices that we're about to do, the breath practice, is, in my opinion, the most direct way to get the brain's activity to be a little bit further from who we are. It's a very neurobiological effect. I'm adding modern words. And so it is the most real of the practices for the brain, breath practice. Our workout today, if you want to call it that way, the physical hatha practice, is also in the same direction. By focusing on the body long enough, you'll stop associating for that period of time with your thoughts, and Insu start to teach you some control. So interesting way to start. I'd like us now to get our sacrums comfortable in the chair. The spine is your antenna. It houses your nervous system, and like the Wi-Fi signal in your house, you need it to be clear and far-reaching. That happens when the spine is relatively straight. It doesn't have to be, there could be a little bit, but not a lot. We don't want a lot of hunched over or kink in the neck. But we also could be too rigid. Enthusiastic students don't know their edges and so can try too much or too little. I would always have a student who tries too much because you can shave that down. If they're not trying, that's harder to get going. So over try and then settle a bit back. Let your eyes close and just take a few breaths with me right here. They don't have to be in a sequence. Just let your body start to absorb your attention now, as if it were calling, a distant calling, not a judgment that you're doing the wrong thing by feeling your thoughts, but just a loving calling to come back into the nature of nature, your body. And we do so with the breath flowing easily, and in the beginning, just observing. Not trying so much to do the breath yet. We'll do that in a moment. But just letting the spine be tall, and with the eyes closed, the brain will start to decrease a bit of its impressions. And so just sitting sometimes is a great way to allow some degree of the brain's electrical activity to shift, to move to the outer rim, to start to be less dominant in our attention. Nevertheless, some things are very dominant, and maybe even more so when we close our eyes. Hidden stuff we're avoiding, stuff we don't like, our hidden angers. And so here, let's enjoy the breath. Before we go, I will say the sequence. We've done it before, but we're going to do it many times today. And that is, when we get to it, we will inhale for 3, hold for 6, exhale for 6. It's a pattern of 1, 2, and 2. So we're going to do 3 breaths to prepare for that, and then we're going to do 8 rounds of that pattern. You will start to feel a physiological effect. And if you feel lightheaded or at all uncomfortable, please rest the breath practice and then return, if at all, when you feel comfortable again. Unlike the body where we can push it, we don't push the breath. We let the breath teach us. So here we go. 3 rounds as a practice, and then we'll go into 8 cycles of our breath sequence. Spine nice and tall, eyes closed. Release a little tension from your shoulder blades. And settle. Exhale. Everything in and out the nose. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. Pause and hold. Feel the muscles around the chest lifting the ribs and separating the ribs. And easily exhale from the belly, pulling in smoothly, easily, peacefully. Now hold the belly in as an active squeeze and feel the emptiness between the breath. 2 more cycles. Inhale. Practice expanding the ribs, feeling the collarbones lift, the shoulder blades come back together. Pause and hold. And in the holding, you can feel where you're holding excess tension or maybe not enough. From the belly, exhale smoothly through the nose, keeping the lift in the spine. And at the base of the exhale, hold peaceful between cycles. Once again, inhale, hold, exhale, hold empty. Relax to normal breathing. A few reminders before we set off on our journey. The holding is at the base of the throat while relaxing the outer muscles, eyes, temples, shoulders. Inside the muscles of the abdomen are where the exhale is found. Let's enjoy. I will count, so just get lost with me. Exhale. If you'd like to add Mula Bandha, inhale 3, 2, 1. Pause and hold. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smooth exhale. 6, 5, 4. Spread it out. 3. Through the whole of the breath. 2. Here you're going to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. 1. Pause. And inhale. 3, 2, 1. Pause and hold, but now relax the outer muscles. Feel the inner pressure pushing outward. And from the abdomen area, catch the exhale and let it like an elevator down smoothly, feeling the muscles squeeze at the very base of the pelvis at the bottom. Once again, Mula Bandha. Inhale, that's the pelvic floor. And hold. Smooth exhale. Pause to relax. Once again, Mula Bandha. Inhale. That means engage the pelvic floor as the base of the breath. And hold at the top. Smooth exhale. Pause and hold. And again, inhale. And hold. Smooth exhale. Pause empty. Once again, inhale. And hold. Feel your eyes relax. Smooth exhale. The last 2 rounds, we're going to change it to 4, 8, and 8. Mula Bandha. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause and hold. Smooth exhale. Pause, empty. Last cycle. Inhale. And hold. Smooth exhale. Pause, empty. And return to normal breathing. Generate some moisture with your tongue, if there was any soreness in the throat or dryness. Release any tension in the shoulders. And we're now going to sit for 1 minute in silence and observe what we feel like. You may have noticed that the thoughts in the mind are still there, but a little bit softer maybe. Some people have a positive image of like the New York Stock Exchange ticker tape, the electrical kind of blue-green signal that moves in a lateral or sideways horizontal fashion constantly. It never stops. But when you're in an office with that running, you only look at it when you need it. And when you're not looking at it, you're not bothered by it. It's just kind of running in the background. That's a good way to think of the thoughts as always running, but it's when you put your attention on them that they give you information. So right now, we're going to blink our eyes open. And I will see you on the other side at the other camera. Let's come to a standing position, but bring with you this kind of peacefulness with you. See you. All right. Hi, everybody. So most of us will feel a little bit higher, a little bit lighter, a little bit different, at least, in the skull. And that's very biological. You've just shifted the pH gradient, your oxygen carbon dioxide gradient. That's going to have an impact on your muscles, your respiratory, your cardiac, your brain function, even your immunity. That part's known. So now you always see me starting to shift side to side. I was at a webinar the other day, and the first thing he said is, people don't do enough mobility before they start exercising. Yay. So it was nice to hear that even in the most crest of the wave exercise, they're saying mobility first. So this, I call it center of gravity-ing, but it's also just mobilizing. Mobilizing means loosening, not challenging yet, not stabilizing yet, not exercising yet, mobilizing. Just letting the hip sockets, the acetabular sockets, take your attention. And as you move laterally side to side, you begin to feel the feet front and back, outside, inside. 4 quadrants on each foot. In fact, as you lean one way, try to press down through that foot. Try to bring a little bit more awareness to the foot. And you'll go back and forth, not too slow, not too fast. And feel the foot spread and almost like it's pushing you gently. Feel this leg catch it and then push. So this feels easy, not threatful, but yet you're not asleep here. Pressing. My hand is imitating what you're doing with the feet. Press down to shift over. Feel the weight and hip and heel, then press to move it. Feel this catch. Press to move it. Good. Press to move it. Good. Now we're going to come back to center. So press and move. Take the hips back into light Utkatasana. Our feet are a little wide, so don't go too deep. And feel the front of your legs turn on. Put your hands on your hips for a moment and see if you can curl your pelvis in and take your pelvis back a few times, loosening the forward and back. In the language I usually use, this is the cat pelvis here, coming forward, shortening pubic bone to navel. And this would be the sacred cow pelvis, bringing more congestion to the lower back, right? But right now, with the legs bent and the pelvis moving, we're starting to feel the quads, the glutes, and the hamstrings. The hamstrings contract when you pull forward, then they loosen, and the quads contract when you go into sacred cow. A few more times. Rolling and loosening, opening up, just pubic bone to navel to chest to chin. This is long. Now we bring it shorter. If we bring it all the way, we call that cat position. Take the pelvis back. My hands are just moving because you're not here for me to touch you. So I want you to know what parts of your body are coming together. You don't need to imitate my hands. Keep your hands on your chest. I'm in your hips. And extend, extend. And the more you extend, the more you feel your whole body start to turn on. Curling, curling, curling. Good. Let's come up to neutral. Shake out. Let's find Tadasana. Let your eyes find a spot in front of you. Feel the back of your neck rise and tall. And as if you were hanging on a hanger, feel as if the back of your neck was lifting you up and your shoulders and your torso were kind of hanging down the outside. But the hanger's lifting you up from the central portion. And so you begin to find your ability to press down with the feet, but lift up inside the spine. To press down with the shoulder blades and lift up through the crown of the head. To pull in with the abdomen, but press through the heels. And to press through the ball of the foot and feel the glutes contract. Concentrate on letting it all now be equal, nothing more than the other, but not turn off. Mentally, you are keeping the belly active and the back and the glutes and the legs, but nothing's over toiling, getting used to just turning it all on. The Western word would be isometric. Beautiful. We're just going to roll the arms open and take them out halfway. Turn the palms themselves over and press it against an imaginary ledge. So the last segment we're adding are the arms, from the shoulder blades through the upper arm, through the forearm to the hand. Now feeling every muscle in your body except your face, gently but assertively active. This is called Tadasana, mountain pose. Mountains are strong, you can't push them over. We're going to change our arm position only by turning the palms up and taking them 45 degrees up and face each other. Shoulder blades back, belly pulls in. Now see if you can squeeze your arms to lengthen through the elbow and lengthen through the wrists while pulling the navel in. In a bit, this might even be a plank position. Eyes are still on your center gazing point and breathe. Finding the stability, finding the balance, breathing ease into the interspaces while effort still turns on the muscles. Relaxed eyes, active quads. Good, we're going to open the arms out from the shoulder blades and then let the hands come down. Let your eyes break the gaze and blink open a little bit. This is called Trataka when we gaze, and it actually empties some electricity out of the optic nerve and into the ball or the eyeball. It's very, very effective. All right, one more thing with the arms before we get started. Take your stance a little bit wider than your hips, but still keep your feet parallel. Give yourself a slight bend in the hips so that the muscles can still remain a little bit active in your mind. We're going to start with the left arm. Inhale the palm up. As the shoulder blade connects down, we're going to lean sideways. So the first thing that happens is we feel compression in the side we lean into. So can you shift your body weight back over to Stay over the 2 feet. And then in the belly, can you lift up? Lower the arm. Come back to center. Good. Let's try that again. Pressing down through the feet. Inhale, the left arm comes up, shoulder blade pulls down the back. And from the navel, we begin to just bend. But check, press. It's not about getting it right. It's not about doing a perfect look. It's about finding those muscles to shift you back over, lifting through the spine, and now lower the arm. Coming back to neutral. Shaking out. Check your neck. Let's try it with the other side. All right, right arm. Roll the arm open and then lift. About 3/4 of the way. Secure the blade, and from the navel, start to bend. It's natural to move in that direction, so counter that. Not to be right, but to feel your muscles stay engaged so that they become the basis that actually lengthen up through the movement in the spine. Lower the arm, come back to neutral. Okay, one more time. Right arm, inhale, press through the feet, lift the arm. Engage blade, belly, and sideways. Check your center of gravity. Good, lower the arm. Excellent. All right, so let's warm up with a little bit of a salutation. If you're not, go ahead and face the chair. Feet now under your hips, parallel. And we'll start with an easy Utkatasana. Inhale, take your hips back. Regulation to the arm. Come back up. Exhale, pull the hands into your body and curl actively the pubic bone. Good. Inhale. Feel the hips pull back, hands forward, shoulder blades down. Exhale, rise. So internally is where most of this action is occurring. You could add Mula Bandha. Inhale. Exhale, cat. Roll up. Cat pelvis, roll up. Once again, Mula Bandha. Inhale. Exhale, lift the belly. Press through the feet. Open the chest. Inhale. And exhale, curling. Okay, this time we'll go into it and hold for a few rounds. Inhale, Utkatasana. Set into your legs. Now your arms can go a little higher if you like. Classic is straight above the head. That's the best place. Unless there's soreness, then bring them forward. But the key is to pull the belly in and sit into the hips. The knees are just not forward of the toes. And find the action in your muscles. Squeeze. My hands will move. You keep holding. Squeeze under here. Squeeze the glutes. Squeeze the inner thighs. Sit back and breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Rising, lift the pubic bone, press the heels, open the arms, shake out the shoulder blades. All right. Feet parallel, exhale. From the Mula Bandha, inhale, Utkatasana. Open the arms, exhale, fold, hands to chair. Take a Zahaja moment, get your feet under your hips, have a spontaneous side to side, releasing any tension. The more we create form, the more we put force into the body and helps us to feel other tensions. Coming to the center point, inhale, rounding like a cat. Exhale, bend the knees, roll the pelvis back, and dynamically stretch the abdomen from the shoulder blade, stretching the chest. 2 more cycles. Inhale, rounding. Exhale, opening. Mula Bandha, inhale. Exhale. That sounds like my phone. We'll have it just ring and not answer. Sorry, everybody. Let's do one more time. Cat-cow while the phone rings. We'll let that be our music today. Inhale. Exhale. Opening chest. Now, as we open the chest here, the way that we come up, because our back is somewhat vulnerable, is to bend the elbows and push up past that little region. Then the fingers guide the pelvis to activate the belly. Press the knees against to walk up, walk up, walk up, walk up, walk up. Keep coming up out of the spine, inside the throat, pressing through the feet, finding that length several times. Exhale and inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, open the arms and fold. Rounding the head, inhale, cat. Exhale, sacred cow. Now we go. Either foot steps back, a little bit wider than the hips, bend the knees, and waggle yourself back. We're not here to perform, we're here to feel. So the shape is less important from its visual. Not important, but less important. It's most important in how you ground it. So let's start from the feet and build up through the calves, the knees, into the hips. Can you feel one line with a bent in the middle so that the knees are keeping the muscles active? For me, I really like to lift my toes up. It's not mandatory, but it does help to keep the calves both equally active in front and back, and helps me to find pressing through the heel now in the chest helps me to open as I look towards the chair. But keep pressing through the heels to open the chest. Let's come out by inhaling the chest up over the wrists and exhale, feet under the hips. Micro bend knees, inhale, sacred cow. This stretches the abdomen, by the way. That's why this is the last part. Micro bend the elbows and pop up. Guide the pelvis. Roll through spinal activation of the front muscles inside. Inhale, release, shake out. All right, just like this. We got another one in us. Feet parallel, exhale. From the Mula Bandha, inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, open and fold. Lower the head, inhale, cat. Exhale, sacred cow. Either foot begins and step back into puppy dog. I like the action of feeling like your legs are pulling you back, and in response, your arms reach into the chair. So that like when we were standing with our arms above our head, we firmed the upper arm to make the elbow straight. See if you can imitate that same action here. It will help you feel if your mid-back is still too rounded. And if you can press that mid-back, the bra line down towards the floor and feel the spine get longer. Beautiful. From your heels, inhale the chest up over the wrists. And exhale, feet under the weight. Inhale, sacred cow. Micro bend elbows, come on up. Guide the pelvis. Pressing back, use the belly, 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 belly. All right, one more time, just like that. And inhale, Utka. Really try to squeeze your legs, squeeze your hips outside to inside, then open, pull the belly in as you fold. Trying to keep the body dynamically energized or active. Exhale, sacred cow. Check your neck, good. Either foot steps back, puppy dog. At first in a pose, you'll overstretch, you'll overstrain for the first few seconds. Your job then after that, as we hold each pose, is to then refine the pose to something that may feel effortful, yes, but not strainful, not worrisome. But if the muscles are just quivering and your mind would rather go have popcorn or pumpkin pie, then it simply means we've run into a neurological loop of what is called a dull mind. In this moment, we say to the mind, be present and squeeze. Not too much, but just enough. The breath helps to regulate that just enough. Good. Let's slowly come out. Inhale the chest up over the wrists. And exhale, feet under the weight. With bent knees, inhale, stretch the belly. Micro bend elbows, come on up. Catch the tailbone, press the knees back. and roll up. All right, shake out. So now we're going to work a little bit with our hips. So let's just put the left foot in front by the chair and take the right foot back, not too far. Don't make it too big a deal, but at least 2 feet, not on the same line so that they're on separate lines. This allows our pelvis to stay facing the chair. We're going to work mostly with the back leg. So the front leg has just enough of a bend to keep the muscle active, but we're not going deep yet. We also don't want to lock it straight. So keep it just active. Feel that left hip pulling back, chest lifted. Here's your back leg. Okay, so the back leg is the right leg, and you're going to put your right hand on it. We're going to practice finding what's called internal rotation by picking up the heel, pivoting the heel outward, but not moving the front leg, and setting the heel down. You're going to feel your groin muscles get closer together. You're going to feel as if this leg kind of rolled inward, slightly stretching this outer hip. You'll also feel a different calf stretch. Now, with your hand on that leg, pick up the back heel and roll it back to where it was and set it down, but don't let the hip open. That's called external opening. That's where the hip bone is rolling open in the hip socket. If you take the hip with you, you don't get the movement. So keep the hip neutral with the front leg. Once again, pick up the back heel and roll into internal. As you set it down, you're going to feel closing. You're going to feel stretch. Pick it up and roll it back and set it down. Correct the hip. And now start to feel that you have a difference in different regions of the front of the leg. The region of your groin is really your hip flexor that goes up. We stretch that when the heel is on the ground. Put your hand back on your thigh. Now this time, just pick up the heel neutral, hold it for 1 second, and you'll feel that the top of the thigh hasn't rolled in or out. That's your quadricep. That's your strong muscle. That's what we usually need to strengthen. Let's rotate the back heel in again, set it down, correct that right hip forward, and you're going to feel a little bit of rotation here in the hip. Press through the right heel, open the chest, pull the pubic bone in, and bend the front knee. That's where we start to feel right in this groin area up inside. To magnify that, that's why the arms rise. So just take your right arm this time, the same arm of the same back leg, and lift it up, shoulder blade down, pull the belly in, and breathe. Now, for most people, they'll start to feel that if you really keep the tailbone long, meaning engage your glutes, keep lifting of the pubic bone, that's the fundamental of the spine, right? One leg is bending, one leg is pressing through the back heel. You're going to start to feel that length up. Let's add the other arm. Now, both arms are up. I don't care if they're wide right now. I don't care if they're forward, but I want the sensation of lifting from the pubic bone, from deep within the pelvis. Let's add Mula Bandha. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, lower your arms to your hips, fingers on the hips, open the chest, lifting up by the power of the back leg. And then release the hips, stay in place, forward hands to the chair, waggle. Now the front leg is going to get a little bit of a straight by just pressing through it. Just push the front heel away like you're pushing the floor away. You're going to feel the knee start to come straight, but this hip, this left hip is going to go back. It goes back. I'm only turning to the camera right now. You're facing down to keep things neutral, trying to find neutral in the hips. But now we've shifted the emphasis of the action to the back of that front leg. Press through the back heel, pull the pubic bone up, chest opens, neck long, and breathe. 3, 2. Any place where the muscle's not squeezing is causing another muscle to overwork. And 1. Bend the front knee, press through the back heel, lift the pubic bone, and lift the arms once again. Tailbone down, squeezing, lengthening through your own body, then letting the hands come down. We're going to use the back heel to project us forward, step back, and release. Excellent. So now we're finding these hip flexors. These are a key to back pain. Let's change legs. Okay, so now we have the right leg forward. The back leg goes back a bit, not too far, but not on the same line, right? Our hips are trying to be forward. You can even waggle the hips a little side to side if you like to feel that sensation of bringing the hip to neutral. Now, our journey today has a slight bend in the front knee, enough to keep the muscles active, and our back heel, this is now our left heel, is going to pick up, take it out so that you feel this inner left groin. If you just twist, you miss the thing. Try to keep your body neutral, but let just the left leg and then press through that heel. Ah, that's new. Pick up the back heel, spiral it in. As you press through the heel, lift the pubic bone. Try to stay neutral as you can with your hips. Once again, with the back leg, pick up the heel, open the heel out, try to close the left groin, set through the heel. Oh, deep stretch. Lift the back heel. Now, from the pit of the hip, open that back leg and set through the back heel. Bend the front knee. Lift the pubic bone and take the same sided arm up. So the left arm reaches up in by the power of the back leg. Now your hip wants to kind of go in alignment with that back leg. So you have to actively lift that pubic bone, actively draw that tailbone down, and press the feet apart to start to have the basis of what lifts up inside the spine. Let's go ahead and add both arms and breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Hands forward. Good. Put the hands on the hips. Press through the back heel and lift the spine. A nice deep stretch inside the abdomen. Then release your hands, pivot at the hips, hands to chair. Begin to straighten the front leg by pulling this front hip back to a type of sacred cow. Don't over compress the knee straight, but pull it into activation by pressing through. Back foot presses, pubic bone in, and breathe. 3, 2, 1. From the back heel, press the front knee forward. Lift your pubic bone and arms. Inhale. And exhale, hands down. Use your back heel to project you forward, and then step back and shake out. Excellent. Now it's kissing cousin is going to start the same way. We're going to go into the side warrior variation. So put the left foot forward, take the right foot back, now about 2.5 feet. But this time you're going to put the arch in the alignment with that back heel because we're going to want that right pelvis now to open out. Front knee bends into the chair. Now, the challenge here gets a little bit more discerning because this front hip from the pit of the hip all the way to the knee has a tendency to be short and bring the knee out of the alignment. You want to align that over the second toe, bend that knee, and simultaneously press through that back heel. You'll immediately feel like things are starting to separate, and in the middle, lift the pubic bone, set through the heel. Arms out to the side. From the pit of the abdomen is what twists you over your hips. If that's not up for you today, put your hands on your hips and keep the shoulder blades lifting up. Concentrate on the legs. These are standing poses. More important, what happens down low. But in the pelvis, this front psoas is bent but now opening. And this psoas is bent and going back. It's being stretched. So this is a second way or a side warrior to get our psoas, our hip flexors, and our glute rhythm. We're now going to do a dynamic upper body. Very simple. Back hand drops, front hand rises. As you lean back, use your belly like we did in the opening. Drop the arm. Change sides. Inhale. Use your belly, 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 and lower. Good. Couple times. Inhale. Exhale. Use your abdomen. Lift out of the lower back here. Inhale. Belly catches, belly catches. Keep that front knee open. And come back into both arms out nice and long. Let your head turn forward and breathe. 3. 2. And 1. Windmill arms up and over to the chair. Pick up the back heel. Now you're neutral. You're going to bend the front knee. And most of you will have a nice stretch here. If there's no stretch, just wiggle the toes back until you feel, with the knee bending up front, that this back leg is getting stretched in the quadricep tendon now. Pubic bone to navel. Yeah, very good. Okay, we're going to use the back heel to propel forward, then step back and dismount. Okay, so my back will be to you on this side. We're going to put the right foot under. The left foot goes back about 3 feet now, 2.5 feet, but the arch is in alignment with the front heel, different than the previous, right? This will open out the hip to the side, but that brings with it that front knee. So internally in that right pit of the hip, open the second toe, press down through that front foot, feeling all the glutes turning on. As you press through the back heel, now in the middle, draw up the pubic bone. Set down in between the feet. Can you start with your feet? Lift the toes, find the 4 quadrants. Feel the front knee bend, but the back leg goes straight. Pubic bone lifts, and now from the pit of the abdomen, twisting the torso to open the arms. Dynamic arms. Back hand down, front hand rises. Inhale. Use your abdomen. Feel your navel doing the work here. Good. Changing sides. Back arm lifts up. Grab with your abdomen and twist from your torso, lowering the arm. Try to keep your legs steady. Inhale. Exhale. Back arm. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do one more cycle. Front arm, inhale. Exhale down. Here we go. Back arm, inhale, rise. Exhale, leaning. Now we're going to come back up into the warrior series. Warrior 2, head forward and breathe. 3. 2. And 1. Lower the arms. Big back arm over to the chair. Pick up the back heel and pivot. Facing the chair now. Wiggle the back toes back and bend the front knee till you feel a stretch in the front of the back leg. Now in the quadricep, the top of the leg, not as much your hip flexor, but now the front of the leg down to the knee. Press that knee back to the ceiling. Now we're going to use that back heel to dismount. So release it and push up. Step back. So now what I'd like to do is to put all this together in a sequence for our peak of class here to help our hips open. So let's bring our feet into parallel nature. Exhale and enter into Utkatasana. Inhale. Feel free to add the Mula Bandha. Long neck. Squeezing the legs. Then exhale, open the arms. Hands forward, lower head. Inhale, rounding. Exhale, opening. Stepping back, feet slightly wider, pull from the inner groins back. The back of the legs are getting a stretch. Hands to shin. Inhale, open the chest. And your choice, as you exhale, bring your elbows above your knees or hands to the floor. Make sure there's a slight bend in the knees. But soften the neck. Feel the spine cascade down towards the earth. Check the neck side to side. To dismount, hands to shins. Inhale, let the spine come out halfway. Bend the knees, but hands to the chair. Inhale, shoulders up over the wrists. Pull the pubic bone in. Open the chest. Now, keeping your elbows where they are, bend them by coming forward. Notice my elbow does not move. My elbow does not move. Then press back up. Keep the elbows stationary. Come into it. Shoulder blades move back. If you feel trembling but no pain, that's good. If it's very effortful, very good. Lean forward. Notice I'm not having to go far. You'll feel a lot in the pecs. Press back up. 2 more. Pubic bone lift. Come halfway. There you go. Press back up. Last time, last side. Coming through. Inhale, lift. Take the back, bend the knees. Set back on the heels. Puppy dog. Hands to shin. Inhale, spine long. And your choice, either elbows or fingers. Exhale, fold. Breathing, softening the neck and eyes. Keeping the feet and quads active. Good. Hands to shin. Inhale, spine comes up halfway. Bend the knees so that your belly turns on, and then extend your hands to the chair. As you inhale, the chest up over the wrists. Bring your pubic bone with you, and then open the chest for a quick plank, but then we're going to lift the hips and bring the feet under our hips. Inhale, sacred cow. Micro bend elbows, come on up. Take the tailbone down. Press the knees back, open the chest. Inhale and exhale. I'm turning only so you can see me. Let's take Tadasana, feet parallel. Eyes find Trataka. Shoulder blades back. We have a tendency to forget about the belly when we relax. And if you feel your back having any congestion, just draw the pubic bone up. Press back through the thighs. All right, so for our twist at our peak of physical practice, let's blink the eyes, shake out the body. Now, we can enter this many ways, but we're going to go ahead and take the introductory way where you're just going to put one foot down and bring the right foot up. Go ahead and use your arm of the chair for balance, back of the chair for balance, but your feet in this case are not on the same line. They're apart so that there's some stability. In fact, check your stability. Make sure you feel good. The bottom leg is always best if it has a slight bend. Whenever you lock, you make yourself less able to adjust. So it's always recommended that you come out of lock enough, feel the back of the hamstring where my finger's pointing, and the glute of the standing leg feel very active. Feel the psoas in front, the hip flexor lifting up strongly so that this standing leg is actually holding you up. Front leg bent. Take your standing leg arm and inhale, arm up. Exhale, arm down. Take it back. Inhale, arm up. Press down through the foot. Feel the rising energy up the spine. Exhale, arm comes down. Good. Hand to hip. Actually, hand to opposite knee for stability. Freeing the opposite arm, the bent leg arm. Now inhale, rise up. Shoulder blade down, pull the belly in. Exhale, arm down. Press the shoulder blade into the back. Inhale, press through the standing feet, the chair foot. Exhale, arm down. This time you're going to use your hand on the knee to pull, and as your arm goes back, use your belly to twist. Look back over to your thumb behind. Try not to bring your standing hip with you and breathe. 3. Tall neck. 2. Shoulder blades down. 1, lower the hand, twist to neutral, both hands up, and both hands down and back to the tailbone, standing cobra. Good. Release, hands to the arm of the chair. Now we're going to take this bent knee and we're just going to straighten it in front of us in the chair. And as it straightens, the hip goes into a type of sacred cow. Even if there's still a little bend, the little bend's okay. I want to feel the stretch now. But the hip itself is going to go back as my spine opens. The belly pulls in. Hands are on the chair and breathe. 3, 2, and 1, walking the hands forward. Now, some people can go very low. Some people need to stay pretty high. Try not to collapse in the spine. Keep integrity in the spine. Make it all about the back of the chair leg, but not too much. You need to keep the front of the leg engaged. So you're in your second position now. Breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Lift the head first, walk the hands back second. Bend the chair knee and then take the foot to the chair. Bring both elbows on top of the bent knee. That kind of lets you waggle your hips a little bit. It lets you relax the upper body for a moment. Yeah, good. Now the hand opposite the chair foot, in this case left hand, goes into the bottom of the chair. The bent knee arm pulls the hip back into alignment. I'm going to try to twist. Now this is a lot of stability, so you could stay here or you could reach the arm up. Less important about the arm, just a matter of where your challenge needs to be. More important that you get your lower body and your belly to do most of the work. 3, 2, and 1. Hands to the arm of the chair. Withdraw that bent leg, but take it back and stretch it out. Lean it, stretch it, squeeze it. Rotate the ankle and bring the foot down. Bend the knees to come on up. Grab the pelvis and roll up. Shake out. Okay, we have side 2 left. Now we're standing on the right foot, hand to the chair to pick the left knee up and place it in the chair. Take a moment and waggle the hips. Release it. Mobilize your way into the general vicinity of the neighborhood. The hips in this case want to stay forward, so you could give a little cat for a moment. Find that standing leg. Press through the 4 corners. Lift up, not too much, and then feel the front pull in. Right here, this whole hip flexor. Likewise, that chair foot presses down to lift the pubic bone so that we're still quite active. Straight leg arm, inhale up, shoulder blade back. Feel the belly pull in, exhale, arm down. When you pass the body, press the chest. Once again, Mula Bandha, inhale. And exhale. Take it past, press chest. Good. Now release that to neutral. Bring it to the opposite knee. Now the bent leg arm takes dominance. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, pressing down through the feet, lifting through the core. Exhale, arm down. This time from the pit of your belly, start to pivot over your back shoulder and begin to look at your thumb if you can. If not, look straight forward. Pull the chin in to lengthen the neck, lower the tailbone, find balance over your feet and breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Back hand comes down. Inhale, lift both arms up, pressing through the standing foot. Good. Bring the hands forward, pivot at the hips. Bring your hands to the chair. Now for me, I'm going to pull that standing leg back just a touch so that when I straighten that front leg, it fits easy. Remember, there's only a relative straight. So go, if you hyperextend, you'll feel it too much behind the knee. Give it just a little bit. There you go. Press through the heel, pull back through the hip, open the chest, and breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Now slowly bend to what feels more comfortable for a deeper stretch. May not be very much. Try to prevent the spine from rounding, and breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Lift the head, walk the hands back. Bend the front knee, and then lift that leg off and extend it back. Don't worry if your hip lifts up, but try to squeeze that bent leg. Feel how good that feels just to squeeze it. Then bring the leg back down, bend the knees, and roll up, cat pelvis. All right, nice. Last week, I began to introduce a slight Tai Chi-like movement. It is really to help us find our inner and our outer hips and to find stability in the core. But that sounds so droll. We need to do something more interesting. So we begin kind of near the chair. Doesn't matter. We're going to take an Utkatasana. The leg furthest from the chair, we're going to lift out, point it a little bit further than our reach, and lower, roll through the foot. Now take your hips back equally, slightly bent knees, and find your stance.
Therapy.
Good. Now, as you bend deeper, start to shift away. And here's where the inner thigh comes in. I want you to drag this leg. Squeezing your inner thighs, now lift them together and cross them. Sit back, open the chest. Feel the hip squeeze. Feel the foundation of the leg. From those same places, now lift up and open. Bend the standing leg and shift back. Good to neutral. Find this activation. Find the squeezing here. Now start to drag that back foot.
9 minutes to get there.
And drop, sitting back. Now here's where you find all of the strength, sitting through that front heel, sitting through the standing leg. Now rise up from the inner thighs. One more time each side, open out. Find neutral first. We're going to add arms this time. Opposite arm goes on top. So lean to one heel and drag the arm. Drag the leg. As the leg crosses, the arm crosses. The opposite arm goes under. Sitting back. Breathing. From your inner groins, lift up. Uncurl. And then extend your inner groins away and land. Come through the feet equally. Find your stance. Last time, last side. Here we go. Shifting. Find the sit, just like we did in the very beginning. Drag. Opposite arm on top. As the leg crosses, the arms cross. Sitting back and breathing. 3, 2, and 1. Rising up from the inner groins. Extending out. Let's land. Hands on the hips. Pull back. Open up and start to walk down your legs. Come halfway first. Check that your feet are parallel. Inhale, spine out long. And then either elbows to knees or hands to the floor. Folding only at the pelvis. Letting the spine release. To exit, lift the head, then put your hands just above your knees, sit into your hips. Lift the spine up more and grabbing your pubic bone, rise up, and then heel toe the feet together. Let's take our last Tadasana before we shift out of our active poses. They call this the blueprint pose, almost like you're checking in. How am I doing? Started off with this. How does it feel? Does it feel easier to take it on? Am I able to come into the fullness of the pose with just a drop of the poof, the word, and the body responds? Let the eyes gaze and breathe. Close the eyes. Preparation for movement. Let's slowly blink the eyes open and come and sit with our bum on the chair.
You have to stop at the store for anything on your way home? Okay.
Hey, Stefan, can you check? I'm still hearing people unmuted or muted. Let's take our right leg and extend it out strong. Get it out of the way. Strong, remember, always the knee. You got to give a little lift to the knee, press through the heel. The opposite leg is going to just be bent first. Taking the hips back, grab your chair and stretch your chest. Lower the head. Now, the front leg is not on the deepest stretch, but if you'll keep pressing the front heel away, you'll start to feel that lift up inside the spine. This will help your lower back enormously. We're going to make a really big release. Let the left hand release all the way down to that shin. Press into it to open the chest and twist. Use your belly here, not your arms. Let your abdomen do the work and the neck lengthen out. Keep pulling the navel in and lengthening the spine above. Good, and release the head forward. Let the hands come back to the chair, and then let the hands go. Change legs. So as we start to now straighten the left leg, you always want to play with it a bit because you don't want to be sloppy and just hyperextend it. Press it away, and as it presses, you'll feel the quad turn on, and that turns on the spine. The front knee is just neutral, arms are behind, and at first we're stretching the pecs, but still concentrating. How's that straight leg? Is the leg open out to the side? Can that foot be parallel still? Letting the inner thigh still have activation. Releasing now the right arm, spiraling down to press into the left leg, lift the chest, and from the navel, rotate. I always pull the chin in to lengthen the back of the neck, but pull the bent knee hip back. Keep the hip from coming with me. Make everything inside the belly. And breathe. Good, and then to release the head first, arms back, then release the arms, lifting the torso, both knees bent. Okay, so our newest stretch we've been adding, let's start with the left leg. Put the foot under the chair and come onto that knee, but still leaning against the chair, but not sitting on the chair. Now that left foot, can you rotate it to the right so that this hip opens out and we find that groin again? The front foot now comes out so that it's under the knee, and walk it across to the left. And as you press, it's going to send you back, and so your right arm catches the chair. Yeah, good. Now, here's the fun of the stretch. With your hands, you're going to push your body at a sideways angle, press the back ankle, and lift the front arm. The back arm wants to gather for balance. We're opening up the side, not sole side, not sole front, but the 45-degree on that bottom leg hip. Lift the pubic bone and breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Release the arms to the chair. Walk the front foot back over to the right and sit your hips on the chair. Let's slowly change. This is a very effective stretch. It may feel a little awkward at first, so be patient with yourself. Come onto the knee, come off the chair. Spiral the right ankle to the left, so 45 degrees to the other way. That opens the hip, the front foot. Heel toes kind of past it and presses through the heel. Lift with the pubic bone. Now my whole torso is squeezing. The back hand is for stability. It's the front hand that helps me lean away. But if there's stability, I can reach up because of the power of the back right shin pressing into the earth. Breathing. Using the abdomen to lean. Pubic bone to navel. Excellent. Release arms first back to the chair. Front foot comes back across to the left and hike back up onto the chair. Straighten the right leg. This time pick up the left ankle and cross it over the right knee. Use both hands for a moment. Rock forward and back a bit. We're not trying to just hit poses. This release, kind of a little mobility. Easing the hip sockets, easing the abdomen. Now, we have two types of people. Some people need to keep their legs straight. Some people can bend it. Depends upon their hip. I'll show the lower phase in this one and the higher phase in the second one, because it doesn't matter which one you take. What matters is what you feel. Either way, pull back against that top leg, open the chest, and from your pelvis, lean forward. Pull back with the shoulder blades and breathe. 3. The front foot is always pushing the floor away, sending the front hip back. Stability, architecture, gravity are the first and foremost in any pose. Excellent. Lift the head, inhale, rise up, and unhook. Now with the left leg, start to straighten it immediately and feel that left hip pull back. The right ankle will curl up. Now this leg, I'll show this side up. That might feel easier. It's a deeper stretch. So only go to it if it feels yummy and feels appropriate. But everyone pull back against that front shin, elbows back, and lean. 3. 2. And 1. Lifting the head up. Unhook the foot. Let's just kind of, I call these flapper knees, just kind of releasing the inside and the outside of the hip after all that work. And the last thing we're going to do is back extension. Let's bring both feet under the chair. So I've kept my arms on the chair. This is the entry level because this already will open up your chest. You can just press, pull the pubic bone up, and you're there. Others of you still need more, in which case you can lower your hands to your hips and lift up. If there's any crunching of the back, what do? Pubic bone up. Press down with the ankle so that there's an energy in the front of the leg. Opening up, lifting up, and breathing. And then to come up, lift the head first. Inhale, up. Hands to the chair. Bring the feet out. And sit deeply. Kind of have a little zahaja moment, kind of just shifting the hips in the chair. You could also call it erasing, because when we hold formal tension, it does create a little tension elsewhere. So we want to release that as well. Let's roll the shoulders a few times. Let the hands go up or down in the lap. And close your eyes. Let's take a moment just to settle. The only persnickety thing you need to be aware of in this shape is to make sure that your sacrum is up against the chair so that when you relax your shoulders, your head does not perch forward. You want to try to see if you can float the skull over your neck. And then just let the breath move easily in and out. And just in the process of sitting, and just in the process of allowing us to settle, just like stretching a rubber band, but gently bringing it back, we unstretch. We come back to a set point. But there are very few things more biological than what we just did. Again, increasing oxygen, expelling carbon dioxide, shifting the pH balance, helping to circulate the blood through the muscles to cause detoxification. That's why frequently we have to pee after yoga, or even poo, or at least fart, or burp. In the yoga world, those are considered positive expressions of a good practice. So now we're going to take a division in the class. Some of you are very happy and going to sit here in the chair because the meditation either just feels more comfortable today, or maybe your knees or hips are just super happy where you are. Those of us who'd like to come onto our backs, we have a choice. You can go into traditional Shavasana, which is just laying on the back with the 4 limbs out. Or lately I've been using the bolster at the chair base, which I will use again today. So if you're going to stay in the meditation position, go ahead and roll your fingers and toes a little bit, roll your head around, and kind of then resettle into your position. And if you're coming up into any of the Shavasana shapes that I just recommended, go ahead and get yourself there slowly. One of the things that asana wants to teach us is how to move mindfully from our core. When we come to the earth, we can do a light Utkatasana, put a hand on the chair, and then lift the heels. That can feel good to stretch, and just sit back on the bolster, playfully letting the feet come out. Playfulness usually means that we laugh and dispel. Try not to be perfect. It's a very slippery slope. Remember that perfection is in the practice. They say practice makes perfect. That's for high school students, to teach them to try harder. As adults, the perfection is in the practice. So I'm just sitting for a moment at each movement phase. I'm just trying not to rush through it. But I am going to come onto my side. So if you like what I'm doing and you're going to use the bolster, then here's the technique. It's a couple of steps, right? We're going to use our bottom hand on the floor, top hand on the chair, and lift our hips and try to come sideways. Then we have to come onto that bottom shoulder and rest for a moment. Make sure our hips don't feel wonky. Now the easy part is to roll using the elbows on the earth. But I'm still a little wonky, so I'm going to press the feet into the chair, lift up, and then position my shirt. Now the bolster might need to come a little forward or a little bit back. What you want is the pelvis to feel just in the top center of the bolster, or blankets if you're using them, so that you don't feel a stretch or an arc pull either way of the spine. The triceps press down to lift the chest so the shoulder blades can move further away from the ears, and then the chin pulls in to lengthen the neck. Your arms can go out to the side or across your chest. And if you're in the meditation position, go ahead and take one more press of the feet. Inhale. Let's all inhale. And now exhale together into the introspective portion of practice. So as a reminder, the point of all of this busyness and movement and breath is to help us further separate our sensation of emotional separation, but not through force, not through isolation and separation, but through refocusing and directing the mind towards the body. So now that the body has both breathed and stretched and contracted, now we put the body into a comfortable position and try to let the mind expand to the far reaches of its possibility. Our mind is the thing of ourself that can reach behind the walls, beyond the walls of the place we are in, beyond the roof. And like a reflex camera, we can start to back off from our city, our state, backing off, seeing even the whole of America, backing off, even seeing the whole of the globe. You see, the mind itself is quantum and has no boundaries And that idea is in this pose what we explore. So let your mind move to the far reaches of the unknown. Let your body relax in a supported state. If you get too gripped by a thought, just use your breath to re-enter the open space. It is a practice after all. The perfection is in the practicing. We will now take several minutes to enjoy some nice true silence. I will watch the time. Sweet dreams. When we get to a certain point in our relaxation, old habits of busyness can kick in. And the mind can think, oh, I've had enough. I'm good. These are what we call mental farts, stinking thinking. Let that mental sensation burp up and settle back. A few more minutes. You may choose to remain as you are. To some extent, the longer you stay like this, the more deeply you reset your adrenal glands and your brain center. But to bring our joining class to a conclusion, I'm going to reach my arms overhead and inhale. Straighten my knees. With the hips on the bolster, it's a little bit more of a dismount, so be prepared. I come slowly onto hand and knee. And then sit back. Hands into Namaste. The hands in the heart center keep our attention at the level of the heart. And the heart field, as studied through science, is where we feel each other's presence. This is where we connect. That's why hugging usually is necessary for those that we care about. And it is the chest, it is that region of our subconscious mind that we make connections that are not verbal or logical. And so as we put our hands in the heart, that means I am telling you by my gesture that I am coming from my place of feeling the connection. Let's take one round of Om to conclude today's class. Inhale. You see, by understanding what the brain is and how it works, we begin to understand the fundamental nature of our brain inside, what it's like inside, and what we are not. And by doing so, we begin to feel a commonality with all sentient beings, non-sentient beings. We begin to feel what we cannot see. And as through the millennia it is said, that when I see that light behind your eyes as me, and you see the light behind my eyes as you, we come into the same place. We experience yoga. And from there we smile to each other and say, Namaste. Thank you, everybody. If you're on your back or in the chair, please stay as you are. I'm going to switch cameras. Hi, everybody. Good feelings today. I see many people are in a peaceful state, so I just want to send a moment of thought and blessing and freedom, freedom, freedom inside. That's what it feels like. Yeah. So patience is the word of the day. Patience in the West is considered a virtue because gosh darn, you have to be virtuous to have patience. But if you can feel your way into Namaste, then it's no virtue. It just feels natural. And patience is enduring when we connect back to our truth, away from the false grippings. Did you have anything you'd like to say, Miss Deborah?
I just have so much gratitude. I'm taking this Reiki class, and I realize how much ahead of the class I am because of all the things that you've taught me, like just with meditation and breath. I mean, she's trying to teach us the same kind of breath that you already done, and so I just am so far ahead with my knowledge because of you. So just really appreciate you.
Good. I'm so glad to hear it. I'm glad it could help. Namaste.
Say.
All right. Well, we have emerging Reiki healers amongst us. So I will bid everybody adieu with a beautiful piece to practice as much patience. When you get the redo of this class, practice it every other day. See you next Thursday.